Hey, and welcome everyone.
Hey everyone, this is Tanya here.
I'm Erleen, and we welcome you to our kitchen today.
We are actually here to kind of share with you some great kitchen hacks, some great recipes. We're going to be doing some demos of how to make some of your favorite foods, like
some meatballs. Did you know that they can be really simple? And we're going to do some bread.
Yeah, I mean, who likes bread, first of all, right? And yet there's too many carbs, there's too many processed foods and flours. And so we're going to eliminate all of that. We're going to make this simple and show you how simple it is to make healthy, low carb bread. And
then we're going to make some cupcakes. And these are completely tasty.
They're so good.
Oh, they're so yummy.
So
and carb free, basically, right?
Right. And you would never guess, right? And all of these things that we're going to be making today, everyone will like them, even the kids. So
not only that, you can feel good about making these because they are healthy, they're low carb, and really good healthy fats and proteins, and it's something that your body is going to love too.
Exactly. And we're doing fudge at the end too. So to start, we're actually going to do some of the cooking. And while that is in the oven, then we're going to do some of the other stuff that's not going to take as long. So we do want to get those things in the oven and show you how, again, quickly you can make these things. It's not overwhelming, right?
I mean, and it can be fun.
Yes.
It can be fun and enjoyable, even if you're a guy or if you're a mom that doesn't do a lot in the kitchen normally, maybe a teen that's learning. So
this is all about saving time and enjoying this process, because we're going to be nourishing our bodies and fueling them with good things that actually can save time. So a lot of people think that, it takes too much time. And we want to show you how quickly you can get these recipes created, how easy it is, how fun it is, and especially if you get other people involved. Of course, we're going to be doing this together, so it may save a little bit more time because there's two of us. However, get someone else in the kitchen. You could create a full spread of different foods for a very quick time. So
okay, let's start with
we're going to start with the bread. We're going to do the keto bread. So to do that, we have a Bosch here, and this is going to be what's going to be our mixer. And you can use a bowl, or if you want to just do a hand mixer, you can do that. So we're going to start with our almond flour. Add 1.5 cups almond flour. Now we're going to actually mix all of the dry ingredients first. Okay, so we're going to add a teaspoon of xanthan or guar gum. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yes, xanthan or guar is a good binder, and they're all vegetable-based sources. So yes, order it online or get it at a health food store, but it's great for acting as a binder.
Yep. And then we're going to have some baking soda. Some salt. Okay, now we're going to mix this really quickly here, just to ingredients mix together. Okay, now we're going to add the wet ingredients. So we're going to do 1/3 cup of olive oil. These recipes will be included, so you guys will have this. There's a 1/3 cup of olive oil. We're also going to add a tablespoon. I realized I need a tablespoon. I thought I had a tablespoon for this apple cider vinegar, which anytime you're using, it calls for apple cider vinegar. It's to kind of help with the raising of the bread, because you're going to have the baking powder. Okay. And then 1/3 cup of water. And we're gonna, while I'm getting the water, we're just gonna get these eggs. So I'm gonna do the egg whites. Third cup, actually. Third cup water. I'm gonna do the egg whites. And we're gonna need a bowl to put the egg yolk in. Water. Now, if you add the yolk, it will just turn out a little bit more yellow. So if you want more of a whiter bread, if it doesn't really matter to you, you can just add the full yolk.
So how many eggs to how many egg whites?
So typically if it's 6 eggs, which is what the recipe calls for, then we'd do maybe double that of egg whites. Otherwise, if you want to do just the 6 full eggs with the egg yolk, you'll get more of a yellowish bread. So it just depends on how you want to how you want it to turn out, right? Here we go. All right. Okay, now that we have everything in here, we're going to turn this on. So we're going to blend it all together. Okay. And typically we use parchment paper in the bread pan, so it's easy to get out once you're done baking it. So you just line your pan with some parchment paper. You need to kind of give this bread swirl with the spatula, make sure that it's mixed well. You don't want it clumpy at the bottom.
And I might add that I've had to be grain-free, or I just feel better grain-free for many years. And I was so excited to find a real bread. And I love this bread recipe. Absolutely love it. It's just so nice to be able to enjoy bread, but also my gut feels good when I eat it. And
yeah,
I'm just super excited about the ability to still enjoy bread.
Which I felt the same way. It was like, how do I give up bread when bread is such a staple, especially in our world? We tend to eat a lot of bread, right? And yet this,
it's all protein. I mean, it's the almond flour and the eggs and a little bit of
you still can enjoy it. And the consistency, it's hard to really see. However, it's not so much like a dough. It is going to be a little bit more runny. So just expect that. It's not going to look the same or be the same consistency. However, when you bake it, it's still going to be just as fluffy. It's very moist. It's not dry. So a lot of people who have even gluten-free breads, a lot of times are very dense and dry and brittle. This is not going to be that way. So it's nice and fluffy and moist and soft. And yeah, so it will look a little bit differently when you put it in the pan. You don't need to form it into anything. Again, you're just putting it into the pan and then put it into the oven. We're going to bake it now, and then we're going to move on to the next recipe. Okay, so we took a break and
I washed the bowl. Wash the bowl in beaters so that we can go right on to the keto cupcakes. So these are really fun to make, and you won't believe the ingredients. They're just awesome. So first of all, half a cup of butter or spread, whatever, cube. This is a cube. Sorry.
That's all right. We're not perfect in the kitchen. We never said we were, right?
So a half a cup almond butter, you'll see there's no flour, not even almond flour in this. Makes it a really nice brownie. Just love these. Okay. Next is a half a cup of either cacao or carob powder, either the raw cacao or carob powder. And then a third cup of the monk fruit sweetening. If you're doing the carob, it's a little sweeter. The cacao is more bitter, so you'll do a half a cup if you're doing the raw cacao. I'm doing carob today. So the next thing is we are doing 4 eggs. I got them right.
That's nice farm raised eggs.
Yes.
What are we using?
Straight from the farm. If some of them still have a little stuff on the edge of them. 3. We're just adding all these ingredients together. So, and then we've got a teaspoon of vanilla. Whoops. Didn't hurt to have a little bit of extra vanilla. And a half a teaspoon.
Baking soda. Baking soda right here. Baking soda and salt.
Teaspoon, and that is a quarter teaspoon of salt. I always like the real salt, you know, it's always pink. And then 8 drops of wild orange essential oil, and I just love the flavor of the orange in here. Okay. And then we are going to turn it on after I put our these keto cupcakes are just so yummy. Like I said, we didn't even put flour in here. You know what? I have baked for 40 years, 50 years. Never in my wildest imagination did I think that you could ever bake without flour and have something turn out. How about you? Did you?
No, I mean, this is really, we've had so many different advancements in just the way that we do things in terms of our food and knowing that we can make some really great substitutions. So yeah, I mean, I would have never guessed that I could actually have bread made of almond flour of all things, and it actually tastes good too.
Okay, we are ready to put these in cupcakes. So
Typically want to line them with some wrappers, just again, because it makes it easier to pull out. However, if you wanted to kind of make it like a muffin, you can just oil the cupcake pan or the muffin pan and just put the wrappers in it. So that's what we're going to do. Pour it out.
Spoon here. And we'll see how many this makes. I actually don't remember. Fill them about 2/3 full. Like it says, it's so yummy how they turn out. Now you could put peppermint essential oil in here too. If you like more of the minty flavor, just maybe 3 drops of peppermint instead.
You can also put it on the frosting. We'll be making the frosting after they're baked.
And oh my goodness, the frosting is so yummy. So simple. You've never seen frosting so simple. And it just is really yummy. I have this too. So this made 10 cupcakes. Okay, so we actually made 10 cupcakes here, and we are going to put these in the oven actually with the bread, and we will have them baking at the same time. All right, now we've got all the things together for meatballs and vegetables, and we just want you to know how simple this is and how easy you can do it. So I'm going to actually double this recipe, but for just kind of a smaller family, 1 egg white. I'm putting this in my mixing bowl, and a 1/2 pound of ground turkey. You can do other ground meat, but I'm using ground turkey today. Then I'm going to add some essential oils. Let me just kind of mix this together. And I love this chopper. If you don't have one of these are great because it just helps mix everything really fast and simple. So really love it.
That is really cool. What is it called? Just like a meat mixer? Or?
Well, it's kind of just a meat chopper, and
Okay.
I just like it a lot better than
Consider getting.
And it's good for when you're cooking ground meat. And so it's awesome for that. Okay, so we are going to add basil. I'm just doing 1 drop of basil. Actually, I'm doubling it though. So, and 2 drops of black pepper, essential oils. Now, both of these are really good for immune boosting. They're good for digestion, and they actually make a great flavor, great antioxidants. So there's a lot of great benefits with your black pepper and basil. All right, now Bragg's liquid aminos, we're going to do a tablespoon of that, or a 1/2 tablespoon is the recipe. Now you could use soy sauce if you don't have Bragg's, but I always prefer the Bragg's. So, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Eighth teaspoon salt. And then we're going to do a tablespoon of olive oil. That out of the way. And last but not least, we're going to add blanched almond flour, but I'm going to mix this up really good first.
Now, if someone is not able to do almond flour, would like coconut flour work? Or
you could definitely do coconut flour.
Or even
but you
cassava flour.
You could cut down, you need to cut down the coconut flour a little bit. Coconut flour absorbs.
So basically, if you're doing coconut flour, you may need to cut that in half. So instead of a full cup, or a full 1/2 cup of the almond flour, maybe it's 1/3 cup or 1/4 cup, would you say?
For the almond, it's a 1/2 cup.
For the coconut flour.
For the coconut flour, I would half that.
Okay.
And if you're doing cassava, you can do it straight across, or any other gluten-free flour. You could do it straight across. So we are adding this in. So it's going to be more of a thick consistency, as you will see here, pretty soon.
So think about typically what people put meatballs into, sometimes it's pasta. There's different things you might use meatballs for. And in this case, we're just going to make the meatballs and throw it in together with some vegetables. Sometimes I've done, zoodles. A lot of people like the zucchini noodles, basically kind of shred or spiralize the zucchini. You can use even cauliflower rice if you're, again, wanting to keep it low carb. So just think of other things that you may want to put the meatballs on, or if you want to have it on the side. We're just going to show you how to make them and then combine it with some different veggies.
Now, what I did is I got a hot plate here so that I can be closer to the camera. And I put a couple of tablespoons of coconut oil in here. Coconut oil is a better oil for frying. And
or avocado oil.
Avocado as well. And actually, I found that it's really good to oil this little scooper. I found this is one of the best ways to do meatballs. Super, super simple. You'll see. So basically, you just get that meatball scooper.
This is smaller than the ice cream scooper.
Yeah,
this is just
way
a smaller type of scooper.
So basically, I'm just getting the scoopful. Yeah, it is about a tablespoon. No, it's about a tablespoon or a little bit more. And just put them in there. I'm going to show you what these look like shortly. But you'll see that, wow, this is such a fast way to make meatballs. And you just scoop it and put them in there. You can kind of see how they're looking. Fun, right? So moving that oil around a little bit. We're just going to scoop till they're all done. And it doesn't take any time at all. And again, you are not having to
You don't even have to mash it. You don't have to touch it with your fingers. It seems so easy just to use that little hand scoop.
Melon baller. Or
I mean, if you don't have it, obviously you can improvise with a couple of spoons, just make sure and oil it. So make sure and oil the spoons that you're using so it's easy to, get out and it's not sticking to the spoon. Form it into balls and maybe put it on. But this definitely is more of a hack, though. If you want to save time, this is going to save time.
And this isn't that much money, so you'll use it a lot. I found that it's great for cookies. It's great for a lot of things. So
even fruits, we're using it for fruits. Yeah.
Well, like I said, this is where being in the kitchen becomes fun, when you can find things that are simple, but yet they look nice and they taste great. And everybody loves them, and you think you've spent all day when you really haven't. Okay. Now you want to turn them over. And I'm actually using a metal spatula here, depending on if you've got nonstick or if you've got metal. So you'll want to turn these over as they are cooking. Now, while we're doing this, and while they're cooking, I like to have them turn over once. And then I'm going to get my vegetables and prepare them. So what I'm going to do is get my knife and cut up this onion into big chunks. We just want more, or I should say slices. Or should I say strips? And did you know that you have less watery eyes when cutting an onion if you cut it lengthwise or instead of crosswise? So I always try to cut my onion lengthwise, meaning so you can see it this way. So you're cutting them in strips instead of circles. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to cut them in strips. Kind of just do it like you would do apple wedges or pie wedges. Again, a lot less crying if you do it this way rather than crossways. I found this is a real important hack. If you don't like cutting up onions, like I said, there's very little teary eyes when you do it this way. So we're going to add this in there. And I'm going to toss my meatballs again. Just kind of turn them all over. And while that's cooking, I'm going to add 2 more vegetables. Now you can do broccoli, asparagus. I'm doing green beans today. They're washed fresh. And I love leaving them long. I love green beans left long. And then sliced mushrooms. So we're going to put this on in here. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Probably about a half a teaspoon of, and then we will cover that. Just let it cook for a few minutes.
Okay, so while that is cooking, we are going to move on to the fudge. This is our final one, and then we're also going to be taking out these these cupcakes, and the bread are going to be done any minute now. So you may be seeing us take that out as we are in the process of making this fudge. So to start, we're going to use a nut butter. So in this case, we've done a lot of almonds already with the almond flour. So I like to kind of vary it up. So you can use almond butter. In my case, though, I'm going to do sun butter, which is a sunflower seed. And you can use any other type of, any type of nut butter. So I'm going to do a full cup, which is already, I know that there's a cup of sun butter in here. So I'm going to add that.
And actually, sun butter is really good for baking. I love it anyway as a variable.
It definitely has kind of a peanut buttery taste. It does taste a little different. However, the consistency is a lot more like peanut butter versus almond butter. Does still have a little bit of, it's a little bit thicker and more grainy. So anyway, I really like the sunflower seed butter.
And I found that if you can replace peanut butter with these, it's so much better. So give that a try.
Okay, now we're going to get some coconut milk or coconut cream. We're going to scoop off the thicker part of it. So the creamy part, which is going to go into our fudge. And she's pulling out the cupcake. So she'll be showing that here in a minute. Meantime, I'm just going to measure.
Look at those. They're awesome. Awesome.
Cool a little bit before we cross them. Okay, so now we have about a cup of coconut cream, which again, this is just, it's like cream, and this is what we're going to use also to frost the cupcakes with. So it's just nice and creamy and fluffy, and we'll add a really good buttery flavor to our fudge. So now that we have that, I'm going to add in and mix it around. So I'll add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. The recipe again will post, so you'll be able to see if you want to keep the original recipe, if you want to double, which in this case, I'm doubling the recipe again, just to make a little bit more for the fan. You mix all of your liquid ingredients together, sun butter and the coconut cream. You can see it's very light colored. The other stuff. Okay, so now that I've got it nice and whipped together fairly well, I'm going to add in my 1/2 cup of cacao powder, unsweetened, and then a 1/2 cup of powdered monk fruit. Now, typically monk fruit, I don't know if you mentioned this before, monk fruit is like sugar in consistency. And if you don't want to have the thickness or kind of the graininess of it, you want to make sure and powder it.
Just in the blender. Just throw it in the blender. Works really well.
In the blender so it's nice and powdered, so you're not going to taste those little granules. And I'm going to add those. Oh, and then I'm going to add a couple drops of peppermint essential oil, which you can flavor it with whatever you'd like, or you can use it plain. I like to add the peppermint because peppermint makes it just really nice flavor for fudge. Sometimes you have to get it out a little bit.
And just like a peppermint patty is good for after eating. Why not digestion? Peppermint fudge. And then you can eat it guilt-free, just a bite after you eat a meal.
So you have the sweet with the monk fruit, you got the creaminess, you got the essential oil in it. And now that we have this, I'm going to pour it into a pan to kind of mix it up. You can add, if you'd like to, you can add some different nuts. You can add hemp seed, you can add pumpkin seed, you can add, walnuts or pecans, if that's something you want to do. Or you can just leave it as is and have it just kind of a smooth, creamy fudge. So it's whatever you prefer to add to it. I'm going to pour it into a pan. So I just have it in a glass pan. Okay, so now that it's all evened out, I'm going to set this in the freezer or the refrigerator for a few hours, maybe just 45 minutes, depending on how set you want to have it. So I'm going to put this in the fridge. Sometimes I'll sprinkle a little bit of coarse sea salt over it. So if you want like the chunk salt, the little, or the salt flakes, you can sprinkle that on top. In this case, I didn't put any nuts in it. However, again, you can add nuts, whatever you want to it.
Now we are going to look at our meatballs and vegetables. Wow, that's what it looks like. Yes, it's really yummy. So I know it's maybe a little bit difficult to see these meatballs, but they're really fabulous. Just so I can.
Plate.
Yes. Let's get a plate and show you what these look like. So we've got our meatballs here and some onions and mushrooms and fresh green beans. I like them a little on the crunchy side. And take a look at what that looks
Yummy.
like. Yeah, so yummy. And look at these meatballs. I know you can't taste them, but fabulous flavor, fabulous texture. They are super yummy. Wow. I think I need to eat the rest of this.
Looks good. We're gonna be having lunch after this. Okay.
What do you think?
It's really good. I'm ready for lunch.
Mm.
Eat it for lunch, eat it for dinner.
So let me just take these cupcakes out so that they can actually cool a little faster, because you really don't want to frost them when they're too warm, or the frosting won't stay on. But
Okay, so we're gonna work on the frosting. So we'll get that all prepared. Before we frost them, we want to make sure they cool, like she said, and then we'll frost them.
okay, this recipe is super, super simple. So basically, I am going to take another can of coconut milk, and we call the top the coconut cream because it's the thing that you use in place of cream. Look how nice and
Fluffy.
solid that is. So take it off of the top of the can, and sometimes it's more like a cup, sometimes there's a little bit more than a cup. And we're going to take that and put that in our bowl. You'll see how easy this frosting is. Now, you can always use the coconut water in a smoothie. So it's never a waste to just use the coconut cream. So I'm going to put that there. Then we're going to add 2 rounded tablespoons of the monk fruit, powdered monk fruit. So about 2 rounded tablespoons is what it takes. And a teaspoon of vanilla. And then 3 drops of lemon or wild orange essential oil. Either one works. I'm doing lemon this time, so 3 drops. Okay. And then I've got my little whisk here. Just whisk it together. That's it. Wow. And it makes amazing whipped cream for your cupcakes. Now, if you would also like to make it more of a chocolate frosting, you could add another rounded tablespoon of either cacao or carob in here. And again, just whip it up. It's a really nice, you can see it's just a nice whipped cream consistency. So that would make an amazing frosting too. So whatever you'd like to do, you can do that. Okay, now we're ready to frost. And just put it on there.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yes. Like I said, great cream and yummy. It's got such a great consistency. I just want to break it open so that I can eat it, so that you can see the amazing consistency. It is, like I said, there's no flour in here. Can you believe it? Yummy. It's really got a great consistency and very tasty too. You're going to love it. I mean, of all the things to make without any flour at all, this is amazing. So
I have the bread pulled out of the oven so you can see what it looks like. Nice and golden brown. So you can see once we pull it out. We'll show you what it looks like. Slice it up so we can serve.
Okay, take a look. Some of them are just with the white, and some of them I added the carob powder. Like I said, you could do cacao, either one. And
Looks so good.
Yeah, they're yummy.
Ready to dig in.
Yeah, and so simple. Again, so simple, tasty.
Low carb, no sugar, no flour, no grain, and nice and fluffy and tastes really good.
Yeah, great
So,
texture.
Give it a try.
Okay, one more thing. We've got our bread. I guess you can do the honors.
Okay. All right. So let's cut this open. We'll see what it looks like in the middle. Still warm. So open this up. Show you guys what it looks like from the side here. You see, nice and fluffy in the inside, and looks just like bread. Right. So we have some butter. You can add to it. A little bit of butter on it. Anyway, look at it. Nice and moist. Nice and just fluffy like bread. You can toast it. You can make French toast out of it. Really anything that you want to do, just like you would any bread, make a sandwich. It really is delicious. Satisfies that bread craving.
Doing the earth balance spread, pretty good, non-hydrogenated. That's what I like about it.
Right. It's good.
Ooh.
Take a look, guys. Here we go. Have a taste?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, there's nothing like fresh baked bread. And this is amazing. Really is. So good. All right, it's bread. And completely grain free. And I like that about it.
All right, guys. So let's do a recap. This didn't take a lot of time. Obviously, we had a little bit of exchanging in between, changing out some things. However, you know, the bread was super simple to make, very quick. Baking time, obviously 20-25 minutes. Same with the cupcakes. Had the cupcakes, had our dinner ready, and our fudge is still in the refrigerator. We'll pull that out in a minute, even though it still needs to chill for a few hours. So with that, there you have it. You've got a meal, you've got some really great treats, and this is all gut healthy. What else?
All you have to do is
Very
add
simple.
a nice green salad, because you still want those raw enzymes to help assist digestion. So don't forget that green salad, because that's super important. We figured we didn't have to demonstrate that. So but this is such an important part of our eating, because we like a healthy gut, and that's important. So yeah, all of these are really good for your gut. And I always say, if you eat what makes your gut happy, you're happier.
That's right. All right. Stay tuned for more, and thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.
Bye.